Food with a code of honor. Before the katana was sharpened or armor secured, the samurai sat down to eat. But for these disciplined warriors, eating was never just about filling the stomach. It was about form, structure, and mindset. A reflection of the same values they brought to battle. Their meals were rooted in respect, simplicity, and seasonal awareness, shaped by both social class and spiritual belief. Forget what you imagine about Japanese cuisine today. The samurai diet had no sugary snacks, no meat-heavy platters, and certainly no convenience. What they ate was shaped by centuries of Buddhist influence, economic class, and practical survival. And what they did not eat told us just as much. From the humble rice bowl to fermented delicacies, every bite followed a quiet order. Every meal, a ritual. From lords and castles to low-ranking retainers, food carried meaning. It was nourishment, yes, but also discipline, a tool to sharpen the body and still the mind. So, what did samurai really eat, day to day? And how did those choices reflect the soul of the warrior? Let's step back in time, leave the battlefield behind, and open the kitchen door on a side of samurai life most have never seen. Rice was everything. Rice was the beating heart of the samurai diet, known as gohan, a word that also means meal itself. Rice was not just food. It was currency, status, and spiritual symbol. A samurai's income was measured in koku, a unit representing how much rice could feed one man for a full year. A single koku was roughly 150 kilograms, enough for 3 meals a day, every day. Samurai were paid in these stipends. A high-ranking retainer might receive several hundred. A powerful daimyo could earn thousands. But when it came to eating, rice was kept humble, served in small, perfectly steamed bowls. No added sauces, no flashy toppings. Sometimes a pickled plum or toasted sesame. Maybe some roasted barley or chopped greens mixed in. Rice showed restraint. It reminded the samurai of where their strength came from. It was fuel, not pleasure. To waste a grain was dishonorable. Children were taught to finish every last bite. Some records suggest soldiers would even carry dried rice cakes or pressed rice during long campaigns, just to keep energy up. In short, rice was life. The blade may have ruled the battlefield, but the bowl ruled the body. Fish, fermentation, and function. If rice was the backbone of the samurai diet, then fish and fermented foods were the muscle. Japan's long coastline made seafood abundant. Samurai often ate grilled or salted fish like mackerel, sardines, or dried herring. These were affordable, easy to store, and rich in protein and omega fats. Inland, river fish like trout and carp were common, often grilled over open flame or cooked with miso. But preservation mattered more than flavor. Fermented fish pastes and dried fillets allowed samurai to travel without fresh supplies. Food had to be functional. If it could survive a campaign march, it was worth eating. Then there was tofu and miso. Both came from soybeans, a core part of traditional Japanese protein. Miso soup was a constant at mealtime, paired with pickled vegetables or tofu cubes. It hydrated the body, aided digestion, and kept salt levels steady. Fermented items like natto or tsukemono added probiotics long before the science existed. These foods strengthened the gut, enhanced immunity, and mirrored the samurai's belief in inner balance. It was not about taste explosions or indulgence. It was about readiness. Each ingredient had a role, just like every soldier in an army. Eating with the seasons, thinking like a monk. Many samurai, especially those with ties to Zen practice or temple training, followed the philosophy of seasonal eating. Known as shojin ryori, this approach was more than vegetarian cuisine. It was a spiritual discipline. Shojin ryori taught awareness through food. You ate what the earth gave when it gave it. Spring offered bamboo shoots and wild greens. Summer brought cucumbers, eggplant, and tofu chilled in clear water. Autumn meant chestnuts and sweet potatoes. In winter, daikon and burdock roots warmed the belly, stewed gently over time. Every meal was quiet, often eaten alone or in silence with others. It was a time to reflect, to give thanks, to notice. For the samurai, this way of eating reminded them they were not just warriors. They were part of a natural order. The same discipline that shaped their sword grip shaped how they held their chopsticks. There was no snacking, no overeating. Meals were measured, portions small. Digestion was part of the warrior's rhythm. By eating seasonally and mindfully, samurai trained not just their bodies, but their spirits. Each bowl became a kind of mirror. It showed who you were, what you valued, and how you moved through the world. Rituals and rules around the meal. In samurai households, the act of eating followed precise structure. Meals were not rushed. They were ceremonies of posture, timing, and social order. Everyone sat seiza, with knees folded under the body. The most senior samurai or family head ate first. No one lifted chopsticks until that first bite was taken. Silence was often the norm. Talking while chewing was frowned upon. Bowls were picked up carefully, not left on the floor. Chopsticks never stood upright in rice. That was reserved for funerals. Even the placement of dishes followed rules. Rice on the left, soup on the right. Pickles and vegetables lined up in a calm, balanced way. Every tray resembled a miniature battlefield where nothing was random. Tea was sometimes part of the meal, though the formal tea ceremony, known as chanoyu, was a separate art. Samurai trained in tea just as they trained in combat. It taught grace, patience, and awareness, all qualities needed to survive. Samurai mealtimes weren't about comfort. They were about composure. How you ate revealed who you were. It reflected rank, control, and self-respect. A warrior who lost control at the table could never be trusted with a blade. What they didn't eat, what samurai avoided, tells us as much as what they consumed. For most of the feudal era, eating meat from four-legged animals was rare, even discouraged. Influenced by Buddhist ethics, Japan had official bans on animal slaughter that lasted centuries. While hunting wild boar or deer was not unheard of, meat was not a regular part of the samurai's diet. Instead, nourishment came from plants, seaweed, grains, fish, and fermented foods. Red meat was associated with impurity and aggression, traits a disciplined samurai avoided outside battle. Sugar was also nearly absent. Sweet foods were expensive and rare. When enjoyed, they came in the form of red bean mochi or seasonal rice cakes, served during holidays, not daily meals. Even alcohol had limits. Sake was consumed during ceremonies, offerings, or celebration. Drinking to excess was seen as weakness. A samurai who could not hold his liquor risked dishonoring his name. In short, the samurai diet was built on restraint. Less was more. Simplicity was strength. To stay sharp in battle and clean in spirit, samurai chose meals that reflected their values, not their cravings. Meals before war and feasts after victory. In the lead up to battle, food became a tactical tool. Samurai ate small, digestible meals that would not weigh them down. Rice balls with pickled plum, dried fish, and a bit of tea or soup. enough to keep the body moving, but never to dull the senses. Before dawn, marches or castle sieges, they might chew on pressed rice or sip miso broth. Warmth, salt, and sustenance, all without bloating or fatigue. But when battle was won, and the blade was sheathed, the food transformed. Victorious samurai could enjoy grilled meats, rare sweets, and warm sake. They feasted with comrades, toasted fallen brothers, reconnected with the human part of themselves. These post-battle meals were more than reward. They were a kind of ritual cleansing, a return to earth after walking close to death. Some samurai clans had specific dishes they prepared after key victories, often tied to ancestral shrines or clan symbols. Food here was history, memory, and bloodline, served on a plate. Even in celebration, manners mattered. Joy was expressed in gratitude, not excess. For the samurai, food was never just fuel. It was always a reflection of one's inner world. The blade and the bowl. So what did the samurai eat? Rice, fish, tofu, fermented vegetables, and seasonal plants. They ate with purpose, not impulse. They measured every portion, respected every ingredient, and followed rules that made the act of eating as noble as the art of combat. Their diet made them lean, sharp, and resilient. Their table was a training ground, just like the dojo or battlefield. A samurai's strength came not just from the sword they carried, but from the bowl they respected. If you found this insight into the samurai kitchen fascinating, please tap the like button, leave a comment below, and share what surprised you the most. And if you love stories like this, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a slice of ancient Japanese life. Until next time, stay curious, stay centered, and eat like a warrior.